What's going on, guys? We're here through TCP Live. And now we're already on week 15 NFL season. Only like 3 more weeks left of the regular season. Wow. You know? Doesn't seem like just yesterday was like, what, week like 7 or something? So, it's crazy how the NFL season goes. But anyways, let's kick it off, shall we? Thursday night game. We got the Cincinnati Bengals going to Philly to take on the Eagles. And, you know, we already know Nick Foles is going to be the quarterback for the rest of the season, and possibly in the near future, meaning next season, and maybe years from, you know, going on. But for now, they're 4-9, taking on the Bengals, who had the victory against the Cowboys last week, and they just let it slip by them, you know? But hey, you know, that's been the Bengals this year. They've got close games where they had the game, and they just let it go, you know? You know, it was, thank goodness, you know, the Eagles won. It's like, okay, you won. But I still think the Bengals are going to win. They're still the better team. You know, I think the Eagles just barely got lucky last week against the Buccaneers. You know, basically they needed the last second to win. I don't think that's going to be the case. And the Eagles have been a bad team at home this year. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. Wait, did I say Bengals at home? I meant Eagles at home. If I said Bengals at home, I meant Eagles at home. Excuse me. Next, you got the Giants, the G-Men, taking on the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. This is actually the rematch of the first round of the playoffs last season. I'm surprised no one has mentioned that yet. It should be a good game. You know, the Giants, they basically killed the Saints. The Falcons, they lost against the Panthers. I told you guys, you know, even though I said the Panthers would lose, I said it was an upset alert. It was a chance of the Panthers winning. And, you know, I think in this one, if this game was honestly in New York, I'd say the Giants. But the Falcons are a better home team than they are at road. Matt Ryan has a great record at home. And I don't think he's ever lost really at home in a regular season game at least. And, you know, the Giants, they're a different team. I'm telling you, this is, one week they look good, one week they don't. Usually at home, on the road, they don't do so well, unless it's the playoffs or something. And at home, they're just, you know, they look like, oh, one of the best teams in the NFL. So, it's a regular season, so I'm gonna go with the Falcons. Next, you got the Packers taking on the Bears. Big game. Packers, you know, they needed that win last week. The Bears, they're slipping. You know, their offensive line again struggling. Jay Cutler struggling. Matt Forte is not being what a lot of us thought he was going to be at the beginning of the season. And, you know, that's what happens when you have Brian Urlacher out for the season, at least for the regular season. And, you know, you rely so much on the fact that you force turnovers. You rely too much on that, I think, if you're Chicago. And not just that, you guys need a number 2 receiver. Yes, Brandon Marshall is one of the most talented wide receivers in the NFL, no question about it. But you need a number 2 wide receiver. Guys like Devin Hester and Alshon Jeffrey right now, I know he's a rookie, but right now, he is not your number 2 target on this team. You need another wide receiver. I don't know where you're going to get that, especially this late in the season, but, you know, it is what it is. So, I'm going to go right now with the Packers. The Packers are playing pretty good right now. So, next you got the Redskins taking on the Browns. Question is, will RG3 play in this game? Will Kirk Cousins play in this game? Browns, you know, they're winning games. You know, at first, it seemed like just yesterday they only had 2 wins. Now they have 5 on the season. So at least they're somewhat improving. But I'm gonna go with the Redskins. I think RG3 will be able to suit up, and I think he'll be fine. So even though this Browns defense, you know, is kind of underrated a bit, but I'm gonna go with the Redskins. Next, you got the Vikings taking on the Rams. At first, I was going to say the Rams because the Rams are usually a good home team, but I remember those are the good home team against the NFC West in their own division. And the Vikings, they have a little life in them. You know, they could be making a playoff push. Not many people are talking about them. You know, Christian Ponders, their defense is getting a bit better. And Adrian Peterson looks like he hasn't lost a step. And then some. This could be one of the best seasons of Adrian Peterson's career. So, I'm going to go with the Vikings. Next, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars going to Miami, taking on the Dolphins. Jacksonville, they're just bad. I don't know what to say. You're 2-11. Good lord. And the Dolphins, you know, they ain't much to write home about, but, you know, at least they got a better record, and the Dolphins actually played pretty darn well, at least, at home. So I'm going to go with Dolphins. And you got the Buccaneers going on the road, take on the Saints. The Saints, I think it's safe to say their season's over. They're not making the playoffs. I know, today, it's like, oh, all the players that were from Bounty Gate are back, So obviously those, the defensive guys are going to want to make a statement for them, guys like Jonathan Vilma and whatnot. The Buccaneers, I honestly thought they could make a little push. Doesn't look like they're going to do that. So I'm going to go with the Saints at home. You see the Broncos taking on the Ravens. The Ravens, they lost against the Redskins. I'm telling you guys, the Ravens are not as good as the record seems. They kind of remind me of like the NFC version of the Falcons. They're not as good as their record sees. Okay? But, honestly, I can see them dropping the game right here. It's going to be hard to see Denver losing out, or at least losing one of those games out, unless they, bench Peyton Manning so he doesn't get injured or whatnot, which they could do. I can see John Fox doing that. So I'm going to go with the Broncos. He's got the Colts taking on the Texans. We all know what happened to the Texans last time on Monday Night Football. You guys know I'm a Patriots fan. I did not see that coming. I think the Texans are going to bounce back from that loss. The Colts, they've been playing a lot of close games lately. And honestly, I think the Texans will win in Houston here, so I am going to go with the Texans. Next, you got the Seahawks taking on the Bills. The Bills. Why the hell did I pick you guys against the Rams last week? The Seahawks, they just murdered the hell out of the Cardinals. Like, that was the biggest beating I've seen in my life. Seahawks are a different team on the road than they are at home, let's face it. They're incredible at home, at road, they're average at best. But the Bills are nothing to write home about, so I'm going to go with the Seahawks. And then you get the Lions taking on the Cardinals. Both teams have a 4-9 record. Yeah, basically both teams suck. Like, when was the last time the Cardinals have a 9-game losing streak? They have lost 9 straight games. And you're like, LOL, John Skelton. LOL, Ryan Lindley. LOL, Kevin Cobb. Now you signed Brian Hoyer. You know you're desperate for a quarterback when you go sign Brian Hoyer. It's true. And the Lions, they got close with the Packers. They just made a couple mistakes there. But I'm going to go with the Lions, the Cardinals. Michael Vick, come home. I don't know. Next you got the Panthers taking on the Chargers. Go Chargers, go Chargers. They're, surprise little upset against the Steelers. But let's face it, guys, this Charger team always does well in December. They usually do well, at least. Panthers, so I'm going to go with the Chargers. And you got the Steelers taking on the Cowboys. It seems like a lot of people picking the Steelers in this one. I don't trust the Steelers in this game. Neither do I trust the Cowboys. But, the Steelers lately, even with Big Ben, their defense is old, alright? Like, they don't know who the hell their starting running back is. It's just like, okay, your only weapons on offense is Mike Wallace and, Heath Miller, and they just keep dropping passes left and right. Excuse me. And then when you got the Cowboys, Des Bryant, could be out for the season with his finger, but you still got Miles Austin, you still got Jason Witten, and, hell, maybe Kevin Overstreet could make a big play, who knows. If it was on NBC, he definitely could, but this is on CBS, so I'm going to go with the Cowboys, actually. I'm going to go with the Cowboys, How about them Cowboys? I think they can do it. No, I'm not a Cowboys fan before anybody else. Next you have the Chiefs taking on the Raiders. Both these teams are bad. I'm going with the Raiders, just because the Chiefs turn the ball over like every single other play. So I'm going with the Raiders. Then you got the big Sunday night game, the big matinee game. The 49ers taking on the Patriots in Foxborough. And it's interesting about this game is, for all you don't know, Tom Brady grew up in San Francisco. He grew up being a 49ers fan, so this should be interesting for him. And, we all know Kaepernick versus Brady, two different style quarterbacks. But I'm going to go with the Patriots, in this one, because they really impressed me last night. I'm not saying they're going to dominate the 49ers like they did with the Texans, but, it's still, I've said this before, people underestimate this Patriots defense. They're playing better. It seems like ever since they acquired Talib, guys like Devin McCourty, Kyle Arrington, guys like that are playing better. Mayo is playing better. So they're forcing turnovers, And, you know, they're not giving up that big play that everyone thought they could. You know, this is a better team, defensive team, than they were last year when they ended up in the Super Bowl. You know? So, and of course you got Patriots being very effective on offense still. So, I'm going to go with the Patriots. And last but not least, you got the Monday night game, the New York Jets versus Tennessee Titans. Oh, good God. I never thought in my mind this would actually be a close freaking game. You know, I know the Jets picked up Braylon Edwards. Sorry, Jets fans. Picking up Braylon Edwards back is not going to save your season. Alright? There's a reason why he got cut from the Seahawks. No, it's not just because of the fact, oh, he's like, oh, last week I called the Jets idiots. No, it's because you drop passes and you're not as good as you once was, okay? And now you got the Titans who, you know, they're like, oh, let's try Jake Locker. Jake Locker, you know, has his games that he looks okay, and then he has his games that looks like, wow, you look bad. But with that in mind, I'm still going to go with the Jets. I don't think the Jets will make the playoffs. I know, you know, the Steelers and Bengals, you know, they got to overhaul them. But, you know, I still think both those teams are better than the Jets right now. But I'm going to go with the Jets with this win. So, that's it, guys, for my week 15, 2012 NFL season predictions, picks, comments, video responses. You know what to do. Alright? Peace.